the Commonwealth Shared Scholar is one of the scholarship schemes provided by the Commonwealth Scholarship Commission in the United Kingdom. And the scholarship is a fully funded scholarship, one of those prestigious scholarships where everything is covered from your flight right through your lodging and and there is a stipend made available. And it is provided by the Foreign and Commonwealth Office of the UK government. And since 1959, we've had over 31,000 people participating in this program. And we will be talking about the processes, what you need to do, how you need to do them, and how you need to prepare and package yourself to be one of the outstanding candidates deserving of this prestigious scholarship. So the applications are open. We have just 12 days to go. And what we'll be talking today will be just about the master's, not the PhD, because there are several Commonwealth scholarships. And this one is the shared, which exists between the Commonwealth Commission and the university. And we'll be looking at that in detail. So this is a brief overview, and it's a life-changing opportunity, which you will not want to miss for anything else. So it is very important to put in your best foot forward to make sure that you're one of the selected candidates for this. So in brief, the Commonwealth Shared Scholarship is separated. As many of the other Commonwealth scholarships, they are separated into themes, and the themes represent every aspect of the Sustainable Development Goals, which were adopted in 2015. And the purpose of this scholarship is to select leaders, people who've proven, or young people, not really young, who've proven a track record of commitment, of discipline, of leadership to build their skills, to enhance their competencies so that they can come back to their countries and drive the sustainable development agendas and lead in the sectors where they've gained skills. So in brief, so far Cameroon has had 325 citizens since 1960, when the Commonwealth Scholarship Commission started, studying in the UK. And they have covered over 99 universities so far. So there is a broad range of universities where you can explore your options and see how you leverage all your volunteering work, all your commitment, all your dedication and your hard work. You can always find a place in one of these prestigious universities. And just the timeline, the scholarship, the shared scholarship in particular, as I mentioned earlier, the application window is currently open and will close on Thursday, December 12th at 4 p.m. And candidates will be nominated in March, and then successful candidates will be informed between April and June, and then the final confirmation of the scholarship is provided in July, and you're expected to travel to the UK between September and October next year. That said, you will have to study full-time. By now, you should already know that the fully funded scholarships are only for full-time studies. You cannot take part in the scholarship scheme. And then the key issue that differentiates the shared scholarship from the other scholarships is that it is partly sponsored by the UK Foreign Commonwealth Development Office and the university where you will be applying. This gives a unique advantage as compared to the other scholarships offered by the UK Foreign and Commonwealth and Development Office, because to an extent, if you are able to craft yourself well and package well, you have less competition. So I will explain that further as we move down the presentation. Feel free to share any doubts or any questions, and we'll be happy to attend to them. So the eligibility for the Commonwealth Shared Scholarship, I'm not going to belabor this because already Cameroon is a member of the Commonwealth. So you are already eligible by virtue of the fact that you're a Cameroonian. And then you will have to study in the UK full-time for 12 months. And you will also have to prove that you will not be able to study in the UK without a scholarship. So towards the end of this session, I will share the relevant links where you can follow to apply. But I believe that most of the people attending who are interested in this should have already started their application process, or at least done some background work to meet the 12th December deadline. That said, the selection criteria is pretty transparent. It is based on academic merit and the quality of your study plan. We'll look at that in a moment. And then the potential impact of what you will study to your home country. So the purpose is not for you just to study, but they envisage that along the way, you will be able to come back to your country and lead and drive development endeavors and development projects in your home country. So it's actually a very robust and rigorous process of training for the next 12 months, sorry. So in your application, for those who have already started, we have the questions which you'll be answering. And I must say that answering these questions require a lot of self-reflection, a lot of detailed research about your aspirations, your motivations, because all of that needs to be reflected in a convincing way so that the person reading your application should be convinced enough. And honestly, this part is the crucial part. Now, why do I say this? Because it is through this that the Commonwealth Commission or the application or the admission officer will evaluate who you are. So you have to put in your best to ensure that you respond to these questions accurately, succinctly, and concisely. Otherwise, at some point, you might start rambling, and then you just find yourself slowly going down the scale and finally leaving the application process. So these questions are very intentional in that in answering them, you will definitely discover something about yourself, something about your work, something about your motivation, which you will now have to bring it forward in a convincing way for you to be selected. So you have to start, and this develops in another way, your writing and reflective skills, how you're able to evaluate a situation and respond accurately. So for those, I actually recommend that if you can take screenshots of this slide, it will be helpful to you to start preparing. And then the questions continue. This is, as I said, the most one of the most challenging parts of the application process, because in total, when you answer all the required questions, you would have written between 2,250 to 2,800 words. That's at least about 4 to 5 pages of responses. And you should make sure that you answer all the questions and understand the question before responding. This is very relevant. When we were in the UK, we found that during the feedback when we had with the program managers and some of the admissions officers, they gave us experiences of how some students leave out some sections, and that is an easy way to be knocked off the admissions process. Or some students submit incomplete answers, some submit answers with errors, some with contradicting information. Maybe you said in a previous question that you volunteered for 2 years, and then down you start saying you volunteered for 5 years or something, which contradicts your information. So you need to be consistent in the story. But these questions answered appropriately will guide you on how to maintain that consistency. So please, you can also take screenshots of this and be sure to reflect on this. Now, let me also mention that we have here people participating who might not be applying for this scholarship this year. If you are hoping to apply subsequently, these questions hardly change. So you can take a longer time to start preparing and start positioning yourself in a strategic way to make sure that when you're putting in your application, you would have thoroughly gone through the questions and put in the best possible answers that reflect your competencies, that reflect your motivation, and why you should be considered in a position for this scholarship. Now, my other colleague, Dr. Collins, will be sharing his experience, but I think one of the main challenge that a lot of students face is following the process chronologically to be able to, because it can be confusing sometimes. You're putting tabs on not just your application to the university, which has to select you for additional admission. You're also putting tabs on what the Commonwealth Commission is also doing. So it can be a daunting process, but if you are systematic, if you are aware of what to expect, then you can better prepare yourself to overcome whatever challenging situation might arise along the way. This also is a simple guide to make sure that you optimize the efforts that you put in. To begin with, if you're applying for the Commonwealth Shared Scholarship, please follow this very rigorously. Identify your thematic area, which is available on the Commonwealth Scholarship Shared site. Focus on one thematic area. This is very important because the thematic areas might even have issues that overlap, but it is necessary to focus on one thematic area and make sure that you identify that your background, your experience, your volunteer work all support and will provide evidence why you are an outstanding candidate for that thematic area. Next, the Commonwealth website, Commonwealth Scholarship website, also has information on the different universities and the courses that they are offering, so that you can be able to identify those courses in relation to the thematic area and then in relation to your background. When you must have identified those courses, the next thing you need to work on is your essays. If you have essays, please start polishing them or start working hard to complete your essay. Remember, there are a lot of questions that you need to answer. So start early and make sure that someone at some point reads your essay. We'll talk about that in a moment. And then after that, make sure you submit your application to the Commonwealth Scholarship. It's not required that you must submit your application for the Commonwealth Scholarship alongside your applications for the university at the same time. No. University admissions in the UK are generally on a rotatory basis. It is ongoing, even up to March. There are still university applications open, but you should have secured an unconditional admission. So make sure you meet the deadline, and then you can focus more on obtaining unconditional admissions in the different universities that you want to apply to. I recommend that you should identify at least 6 courses to increase your chances. And my experience was a bit different because I made applications to universities without knowing if those universities were already available on the Commonwealth Scholarship website, because not all universities are partner to the Commonwealth Scholarship every year. So since you've already identified the different programs in the universities, make sure that you submit at a minimum 6 applications. I cannot belabor this point. I don't want to tell you the number of applications I submitted. That will scare some people, but then I give a minimum of 6. And these 6 try to have at least 3 unconditional admissions. Now, let me explain this a bit further. The reason for identifying at least 6 courses is that it increases your chances of being nominated by the different universities. But remember, you can choose just one. If you put in a very strong application, you can be nominated. I knew people who were nominated by 2, 3 universities for the same Commonwealth Scholarship. They had to make a choice to choose which university they will accept the nomination. Now, for you to increase your chances still, understand what competition is. let me call them, not though the word is not generally used in the UK, but the Ivy League, the top universities in the UK, like Cambridge, Oxford, London School of Economics, King's College, Imperial College, all those universities have high competition, right? And their intake, their percentage intake and acceptance rate is relatively low. So while I'm not downplaying your ambition to study in some of the best top universities in the UK, I'm also advocating that you need to increase your chances of being selected for this scholarship, because at the end of the day, the quality of education is not too different from one university to another. What am I saying? Look for the rankings of the universities that offer the courses that you want to take part in. If you can submit at least 3 or 4 applications into universities with good acceptance rate, which means that you have a greater chance of obtaining an unconditional admission in that university, the better for you. It increases your chances of being selected. This will go for universities which don't receive a lot of applications in a year. For those universities, their acceptance rates are higher. So they have fewer applications for study, and then they accept more of the candidates that study. So make sure that you balance between the ranking of the university and its acceptance. Ms. Blessing, please just indicate if I'm going too fast or I'm going above time. I failed to keep track on my time. Okay, awesome. So yes, secure unconditional offers. All right, that is very important. You will want to know that in the UK, submitting an application, you have 2 possibilities: unconditional and conditional offers. Unconditional means that you've met all the requirements to be considered a student. And then after you obtain an unconditional offer, you will be issued the confirmation of acceptance of study, without which you cannot apply for a visa. For conditional offers, it means that they have said you can come study, but there are some conditions that you have to meet in order for you to be offered full acceptance into the university. You can only use an unconditional offer for the Commonwealth Shared Scholarship. But there is an exception. The only exception is if you have a conditional offer, and the condition is that you should, okay, thank you. You should present financial conditions, then that can be allowed. Okay. So we have, I will not belabor that too much. Maybe if you have questions, you can ask. And then keep in touch with the International Student Office, right? To inform them about your interest to be nominated for the shared scholarship. This is important because it keeps you in their mind, and then they will consider your application in line of your interest to be nominated for the Commonwealth Shared Scholarship. This is very important. And then one key issue, which I find a lot of students having challenges with, is having references. Although when submitting your application, you don't have any requirement to present references, well, to present reference letters, but you will be expected to present some people who will serve as your reference. You will be expected to submit references from March to April if you are nominated. That means that if you are nominated during the March window, they will ask you then to submit a reference or references, 2 to 3 references. Make sure you start talking to your professors, to your recommenders now, to inform them that probably around March and April, you will expect them to maybe share a reference on your behalf. Without belaboring too much, I'm open for questions. These are the links. I've already shared these slides with Ms. Blessing, who might want to make it available to whoever is interested along. But these are the links to the key information that you require. Okay, thank you everybody for your time, and I will stop sharing now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Sir Neba. You have done amazingly well. At this juncture, I think we'll head right on to listening to our second speaker, such that after that, we can now get the questions. And I urge you again to send those deep questions. You might be facing a challenge when it comes to your application. You might have started and you got stuck somewhere. Maybe motivation is your challenge. You know, you lack motivation somehow. It might be daunting. You might need an accountability partner to go through with this. You might need a mentor. We are all here to guide you. So please do also just stick that in the chat section, and we are definitely going to take it after the presentation by Dr. Asangazi Collins. Okay, let me share my screen. Asangazi, you can go on.
Hello, everyone. I'm happy to be here. My name is Collins. It's always good to give back to the society. So I will just go straight to what I have here. Okay, go again. Okay, just a brief. My brother Neba already spoke about the Commonwealth Shared Scholarship. First, it's the UK government offering scholarship to students. And I had to put this. You have 6 themes that you fall under. So many people will find something to study under these themes. Whether you are into health, whether you are into technology, whether you are into education, whether you are into law, I think if you go through these themes, you will find something that you can study. So no one is left out. Let's go ahead. I don't want to waste time on this. So, let me see. Okay. Please, the first thing is that, to me, you have to make up your mind that I want to do this. Make up your mind. You have to be positive. You have to work hard and you have to work smart. Working hard and working smart is not the same. There is smart work, there is hard work. You need both in order to obtain this scholarship. Trust me. You need to work with time. Please apply in time and do it. How will you know what to do? You have to go to the website, Commonwealth Shared Scholarship. When you go there, you will see the list of courses. You have to choose the ones that you feel that you can do. Maybe you've studied education. You go through the website, you will see courses that are related to education. That is the field you are studying. You tick. My colleague Neba says, go forth for like 6. I was saying 5. I had 5 in mind, but he said 6. Just to drop this, I know someone who has the scholarship. The person told me she applied for 10. Let me end there.
I didn't want to say I applied to 36 universities.
Boy, it's okay. Please. I applied for 3, just 3. So it's because if you know how to do it, it's good. So, but just going for more increases your chances. That is the point I just want to make. Okay, so apply for more. Go to the website. Now, there are 2 things you have to take note of. You have to apply for the scholarship and you have to apply for the program. The program, for you to be accepted to study the program, it has its own requirements. Maybe you need to pay an application fee for that program. Maybe you need to show English language proficiency. Maybe you need to provide a passport. Maybe you need to do this. Maybe you need to do that. So please, you have to take all those things in mind. Don't go and start. Then tomorrow is like, I did not see this. And you've wasted your time. You've wasted your energy. Imagine that they were to pay an application fee of maybe 70 pounds. And you've been there doing, or you need to give a passport. You don't have a passport, or you need to give you need to show English language proficiency. You don't have an IELTS test. So you should check both the requirements for the course and the requirements for the scholarship so that when you are good, you are good. Okay, start your application. Start your application. Start in time. Get help. Get help. Be proactive. Be proactive. Collins, please, I want you to help me. You write me, you go. These people don't help people. You write them, they don't reply, blah, 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 yeah, la, 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 la. You have to be pushful. When you are the one who needs our help. You don't expect me to, I have tons of things to do. You don't expect me to get up and start running after you. No, I am busy. So if you need help, you need to be pushful. You need to let me know that, no, this guy is really interested in it and I will help you. You need to, and be very respectful when you are writing seniors. Next slide, please. No, go back. Okay, just a short 15 minutes. Who was your best teacher and why? I just want everyone to reflect. You've been through primary school, secondary school, university. Who was your best teacher? Or who is your best teacher and why? Okay, let's go ahead. Next slide. Okay, I want to talk about your AC. See, in medicine, there are two things we say. You have what we call the modifiable risk factors and what we call the non-modifiable risk factors. If, let's say, Neba comes from a family where there is a history of hypertension, Neba is 30 years old, what can he do to change that? Nothing. That one is non-modifiable. You cannot change your age. You cannot change your family history. But things like what you eat, your level of physical exercise, those things are modifiable. You can change. Okay. So your academic performance, what you scored in your GCE, in your first degree, you cannot change that. It's a non-modifiable thing. But your AC is a modifiable thing. This is what is going to sell you out. This is what will make the jury decide to give you the scholarship or not to give you the scholarship. Trust me. When I came to St. Mary's, I noticed one of my teachers, she was just so always happy and anxious to talk with me. One day we were together and she was like, Collins, I chose you for the scholarship. When I read your essay, it was like, wow. And I was like, who is this student? I want to see you. Wow. He said, Collins, it was really difficult. The competition was really there, but your essay was amazing. In fact, I wanted to see you. And then I remember that no wonder from the first day this woman saw me, she was like, it was that I was understanding. So the point is your AC. That is what is going to sell you. You cannot change anything, your academics, but you can write a good essay. To me, essay writing is an art. It's an art. You can have a good story, but if you don't write that story well, you will not be chosen. But someone who doesn't even have a good story like you, if he knows how to write, that person is going to write. So it has to be, you don't just have to say your story, but say it in a beautiful and poetic way. You have to bring out your leadership. They should clearly see your leadership in your essay. They should see your passion. They should see your zeal. They should see your fire. They should see your curiosity. They should see your value. They should see your positive difference. You know, when you put all that, trust me, can they really say no to you? Can they say no to you? So it is how you do it. You have to be clear. Like Neba said, you have to be systematic, it should have a logical flow. You have to be powerful. Now, when you are writing your essay, I want you to read and ask yourself, Why? Answer the question, why you? Why should they choose you amongst other people? Why? Why should they choose you? So you have to tell them why they should choose you. You have to give them that reason. Make them to understand that you are going to add value. Recently, I was given a task to read and do some sort of a summary. So two people wrote, imagine that there was a conference, so two people wrote about that same conference. One was in the 6th year of medical school, the other one in the 7th year. When I read it, trust me, the difference was clear. The person who was in the 6th year knew how to write. I mean, the person was just so logical, and the write-up was so beautiful. If I was to choose, I would choose that person. So that's how it is with ACEs. Please, next slide. So, talking all this, I tried to put an example so that you understand what I'm saying, because I didn't just want it to be vague talk. So this one, it's not really, I just tried to put it so that you have an idea. So let's say that I am applying for a human resource management. I'm applying for the course human resource management at the University of Leeds. So this can be what I can draft, and in it, I want you to see whatever I said before, my passion, my zeal. And you see, I would tell my story. I will not just come, I will make you to still see my beginning, where I come from and where I am going to and what I have done. I have to bring all that. So just briefly, let's take a look at what I said. Seeing an abundance of natural resources within my country, I never cease to wonder why many suffer and live under extreme poverty. Gosh, I don't know if I saw this word. Seeing an abundance of natural resources within my country, I never cease to wonder. You see, I have to correct my grammar there. Why many live under extreme poverty. I now understand our problem is not the absence of resources, but the mismanagement of the resources we have, leading to inevitable economic hardship and dependence on foreign aid. I come from Cameroon, a country in Central Africa described as Africa miniature. I was born into a family of 6 boys and 3 girls, and we struggled to have food on our table. My zeal for appropriate management of resources took roots from our home, where I felt it was a sin to dispose food, especially if it was not stale, when so many mouths needed to be fed, given the poverty we lived in. I became obsessed with this passion, which was now known to many and earned me the nickname Mr. Manager. Anyways, with my first statement, I was trying to give something catchy that when you read, you want to know more. What is this guy trying to say? Seeing an abundance of natural resources, I intended to say, I never cease to wonder why many suffer and are in extreme poverty. That was what I wanted to say. I just had to, I didn't take time to do that. So that is how you have to do your AC. You have to do your AC that it is captivating, catchy, somebody wants to read, somebody wants to know more, and then you make it to have. So I came here and I was trying to start from somewhere. I come from, that is where I begin, and you see, so that when you read, you can see where I started and how I've progressed to where I am today. So that's how your essay should be. That's it, with everything inside, your zeal, your passion, and everything. Next slide. Okay, well, let's have a conclusion. So, to me, your story is the most important thing. That is what is going to make whoever decide whether to give you the scholarship or not to give it. So you must pay very important attention to it. And when you are writing your story, please mention in your story that you are applying to be chosen as a Commonwealth scholar for the university. mentioned in your story. That applying, like, one of the requirements was that you should be able to fund these studies without aid. So be like, I was hopeless. But when I learned that I could study this course as a Commonwealth scholar in your university, my joy was inexplicable. So without much ado, I present myself as the right Commonwealth scholar for this university. I mean, just make them to understand that that's why you are applying. Like I said, to me, pour out your passion, your leadership, your curiosity, sell yourself out. It's very important. I think that I'm done. Last slide.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm done. Thank you.
I mean, this is just a round of applause. We can really see how passionate you are about how, the way you did put in your application. And so we say thank you so much for sharing with us. And I believe at this juncture, may we just share in our questions. If you have any comments as well, please do well to raise your hand if you please to share your question with us. And while that goes, we'll begin with asking questions so that we give the audience enough time to get their questions going. And so, okay, let me see if there are any questions first. Okay, no questions in the chat section yet. Okay. So I think beginning with Niba, the very first question I'd like to ask you is pertaining to your zeal and how you managed to link or align your study, your course of study versus the different practices and what you were already doing in Cameroon, which was regards to education and development. Do you mind bringing out the blueprint of that for us?
Thank you, Ms. Blessing. I think one interesting thing about the Commonwealth Scholarship is that every scholar has their unique story, right? Every scholar is coming from a certain angle. There is no ideal Commonwealth scholar. For me, I was a teacher. I taught chemistry at advanced level. And then while doing that, I also worked in an NGO because I had the passion to push further the importance and the relevance of education. So I worked in an NGO where we were promoting access to education for vulnerable persons in line with the ongoing conflict in the Northwest region. So if I step one year again back, I applied for universities 1 year before even applying for the shared scholarship. That's why I said I applied to so many. Because I was so determined that whatever happens, I need to study. So I started putting in my applications early. That was an advantage that I had. I started contacting the different universities and trying to secure unconditional offers, which was a key issue. So I did my best to capture my experience. As a matter, I studied education international development at St. Mary's, where Dr. Collins is also studying. And my background as a teacher and my experience working with an NGO that promoted access to education in conflict settings was what I captured in my ACs, right? And as I said, it's very advantageous when you start your ACs early, because when you start writing, ideas start coming up, and then you sleep or you're lying in bed and then something just clicks for a question that maybe you read, and then you say, no, this is a better way to put this. And as Dr. Collins said, all of that will be perceived by the reader, your passion, how dedicated, how enthusiastic you are towards what you want to study. You don't just want to be anybody when you're applying. You want to be the main person, the person who they will use you as a reference to compare other students. So all your experience is relevant, but this should not discourage the students who are maybe don't have that experience yet. Now, for those students, you now have to demonstrate that future aspiration right? If you don't have all the experience working for several years, which you can leverage to strengthen your ACEs, you can now demonstrate your passion. Like the short brief that Dr. Collins shared, it's a capture of, there is no aspect of work experience. And thankfully, the Commonwealth Shared Scholarship does not require to have any work experience whatsoever. You just need to demonstrate that you have in you what it takes. Because prior to joining, we were discussing how rigorous and intense the studies in the UK are. Remember that almost every other country offers a master's degree in 2 years, but the UK offers it in 1 year, meaning that all that work has to be covered but condensed into 1 year. So they need students who will be able to survive the pressure. And for you to demonstrate that, you need to push your ideas, say that you are ready, make sure that you say this in a poetic, as Dr. Collins said, in a convincing and captivating way, and be coherent, right? The best way for your essays to stand out is to construct them in a kind of a story, be it an imaginary story, that story that is yet to happen, or that which has already happened, but it should be a story that is captivating enough. And I had almost the same experience with which Dr. Collins shared. When I got to the UK, I had one of my lecturers also, who was in the admissions panel. I already, let me say, had favor in her eyes, because then she already knew what I put in. And then she was like, okay, I have a lot to contribute in the course, considering my experience, considering my challenges, because don't be afraid to demonstrate the challenges that you face that have brought you right up to this point, because it is in demonstrating that those challenges have inculcated in you the strength, the resilience to push forward despite all the odds, right? So if you have your challenges, mention them. That strengthens your argument. So depending on your experience, on where you are academically, professionally, you can be able to push that through. I don't want to give a generic answer to this, because then it might misguide some people. Your unique selling point is unique to you. Sell that.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mr. Neba, for sharing that. And we still call on the audience to send in their questions, some of these questions as well. And just as to alert us, we have less than 15 minutes to round up with this whole session. And so everyone should want to make use of this opportunity to ask their questions. And one question to Dr. Collins, before we get the question in the chat section. You mentioned so much about how much you put in to get into this or becoming a Commonwealth Shared Scholar. Now, I think the question now is about the impact and how much impact this scholarship has created in your life, and of course, in your career, and maybe in your academics as well. Yeah. So could you maybe share with us how much this scholarship has impacted your academic and, of course, your professional life as a medical personnel?
I would have preferred to talk. Anyways, of course, this scholarship, I even did not know the value of it until I even came here. And I've seen so much suffering, and I see really what it's an amazing thing. And it has opened many doors for me. Yes, it has opened many doors for me. I've got to know a lot of people. I'm learning the course. I'm learning something new. I'm learning the UK system. So the impact is I cannot tell you all. That's what I would say. Yes, but it's so much a positive impact. I sell everywhere. I say that in humility. I sell everywhere. So I don't want to drag. Let's help people to come in. Yeah, that's what I can say for now.
If I may just chip in to support what Dr. Collins has said, maybe because now I'm an alumni and I'm in a position to reflect.
Alumni.
Yes, so I think
yes, please go ahead.
Having the title a Commonwealth scholar is an achievement in itself. It is a recognized achievement in the professional setting, especially when you're done and you're looking for possible entry-level roles. Why do I say this? Because it demonstrates that a legitimate government has identified you as a suitable candidate among thousands of applicants. That has done a lot of assignment for any person who might want to recruit. If I give you a bit of statistics, to be selected for the Commonwealth Scholarship, last year, the number of applicants was about 38,000 applicants for the counties. And then only about 300 were selected, right, for shared.
Yeah.
That is a 1 to 2% chance of being selected. You are already identified as among the top candidates globally, right? That in itself, if you tell anybody that in an application process of 35,000, you were among the 1 to 2% of candidates selected, they know you have substance. Let me not belabor that. Thank you very much.
All right. We are ready to join the family of all those who have substance. Okay. And in the chat section, we have Kitty Kamwa, who is asking how the nomination is done, as in who does the nomination. And she also wishes to ask the necessary information or documents you must have to start an application. And so just to quickly go ahead, the nomination is being done when it comes to the Commonwealth Scholarship. But when it comes to the Commonwealth Shared, there is no nomination being done. All you need are recommenders who do so probably in March, but then you have to fill in their information as you get to apply. And for the necessary information or documents you must have to start your application, yes, I will hand this to Sir Collins. You take it, and if there's any other, Sambe, please do not hesitate to add.
First, the nomination is done by the university. So for the Commonwealth Shared Scholarship, we have the Commonwealth has said that if you want to study human resource management at University of Leeds, apply. When there are 10,000 people that have applied, the university will now sit. The Commonwealth say, give us 2, we will sponsor. So it is the university now that will go through the 10,000. Then they will remove their 2 and tell now to Commonwealth, say, Uncle, this is the 2 that we want you to now go ahead with. So the nomination is, this is one of the differences. Nomination is done by the university. Meanwhile, for the general, it's the government. Let me not go into that. And how is this? Like I said, so that is why they have to go through your essay and go through your documents, and then because they want to choose the best. So you have to sell yourself out. That's what I'm saying. So like I also mentioned that each university has its criteria of choosing. For example, at the University of Oxford, my brother mentioned that first, you have many people applying there. Then certain things that you might not need in other universities. Maybe in other universities, you don't need to pay an application fee. Maybe in other universities, they just need an IELTS score of 6.5. But in Oxford, you might need an IELTS score of 7. So you have to check those requirements before before you know where to address your application. So in a nutshell, number 1, nomination is done by those universities that offer the courses in shared. Yes, and just to add, in shared is the courses that are in the website. Those are just the courses that the scholarship is being offered for. It's not the same for the other one. So any course you have there, the universities are the ones that will nominate. So your task is just to apply for those courses and tell the universities that you want them to choose you as their shared scholar. Yes, so they'll be the ones to choose. And you should, now the requirements, it depends on the university. Universities have different requirements. So you should just go to each course, any course you want to apply, check the university, check the requirement. It's always on the university website. Check if you meet it. That's it. Thank you.
Okay, Shaniba, maybe for the Commonwealth.
Yes, I just want to add to what Doctor has said. It is the primary nominating agency is the university. But also remember that you're submitting an application to the Commonwealth Commission. So it's two-sided. The university can nominate you, but Commonwealth Commission does not find your essay suitable. You've lost it. But I don't think there is any case where since the Commonwealth does not nominate, it just waits. When the university sends in their candidate, they evaluate the application which that candidate submitted to them as the Commonwealth Commission, and then weigh it with what the university has presented, right? So these two are independent, but they intersect. The university nominates, the Commonwealth Commission confirms, because they are the ones paying a large bulk, they pay your fees and other things. But the university nominates, so you must have approval from both ends before you can finally have your final confirmation of award. Thank you.
Excellent. Yeah, thank you so much for highlighting that, Ambi, and of course, Dr. Collins. I believe without any further questions, we have come to the end of this session. However, before we get to end, we would like to get some last-minute remarks from our very reputable speakers. And I think at this juncture, we'll begin with Sir Collins before Sir Ambi. Then you round up everything. Yeah. So, yes.
Well, I just want to say courage to all of those applying. I want to say don't give up. I want to say that even if you don't get it this year, next year, but this experience is invaluable. That going through the application process, that going through the process of talking with universities, of getting conditional acceptances, of even getting unconditionals, but not getting a scholarship, it's okay. It's okay. I think I applied, it was the third time that I got it. Yes, the third time. The first time I just did it, but the second time I really took time and put in some seriousness. The third time I really did it so well. So it's okay. It's okay. So don't give up. Keep applying. Keep working hard. Get your documents ready, your passport, your IDs. Keep applying and don't give up. If you have a mentor, it's a plus. I wish you all the best, and we are always there to support when and how we can. Thank you and best wishes.
I'll just add to what Dr. Collins has said. Even if you're not chosen the first time, it's not a problem. What you will be doing the next time is that you'll be building from your previous experience. And we cannot eliminate the factor of failure as part of our success. So for those who look forward to this opportunity, if you are applying now, I wish you the best. Make sure that you meet the deadline. Also, regarding, because I understand that for some schools you need application fees, for some you need IELTS, that is not always easily affordable. But also know that there are many other universities that don't need the application fee. There are universities that don't need IELTS. For instance, my case, I didn't write IELTS, right? I traveled, I did not write, because I was able to demonstrate from my past education, my work experience, my other education that I had the competency to study master's level in English in the UK, because that's just what they want to see. Okay, so look for those openings. There are some universities that waive the English requirement. There are many that waive the application fee, which means it's possible that you can have everything without spending a dime, but you need to put in the hard work. It is hard work. They say looking for a job is a job. Looking for a scholarship is a job, right? You need to put in that effort. Otherwise, you will just be left wondering what happened. Particularly for people who are not ready yet, this is your best time. Applications in the UK are constantly open, right? And you can apply now and defer your studies to next year, even if you don't have the scholarship. That's the case for me. I had admission. I did not have a scholarship readily. I deferred my studies. And then the next year I had the scholarship. I didn't still have to apply for university. right? So there are a lot of technical windows which you can exploit to be one of those candidates. And that demonstrates your resilience also, your interest and your passion to pursue what you really want. So I wish everybody the best. I wish you success. Burn the midnight candle. The most successful people work at night when the noise is quiet. That's how it works for me. So do the homework, read. You need to read extensively, know what you're into. And I hope doors open to every one of you. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dr. Collins, and of course, Taniba Ambe, for the informative session. I mean, In Search of Excellence mentorship series on the Commonwealth Shared Scholarship has been nothing short of informative. And now to the audience, I really do well to appreciate you for joining this webinar. And before we go, we will have a quick recap on everything that has been discussed, some key takeaways, which I would like to share with you as your next steps, right? Do well to apply to a minimum of 6 universities as recommended by Mr. Neba. And of course, also start talking to your recommenders. It's super important to have them as you go on along with your application, and also have your passport and every other document in check. That includes your certificates, your transcripts, and probably your ID card and your passport, right? Have all of these in check, handy, and of course, online on your drive, ready for submission at any point in time. And not forgetting one which is super important as you go on along throughout your application, ask the question, why you? And for sure, with those, you'll be able to go on ahead. And I hope you found this webinar informative and valuable as I did at my end. Once again, thank you for your participation and engagement throughout this webinar. We appreciate your time, and feel free to reach out as well via email to share with us your feedback, and we'll be ready to inculcate this in the next informative webinar series. If you have any further questions or maybe would like to learn more about this, please do not also hesitate to reach out. I remain Blessing Loom, and it was great hosting you today and moderating this panel discussion session on the Commonwealth Shared Scholarship. Without any further ado, that concludes our webinar for today, and please feel free to disconnect. And we wish you a wonderful day and a wonderful application season. Thank you so much. All right. Bye. Thank you, Soneba. Thank you, Mr. Collins.